What's up, peoples? We're back. Thank you for tuning in, Gerald International. Hope everybody's doing well. Today, another special day, another great day in the lives of Facebook family who are attentive to and following Gerald International. So, another exciting day. I'm joined with a great friend of mine, CJ, and I'm gonna let CJ talk here in a second. Give him some time to talk. But as you know, I like to have different speakers on, different times. And, people who necessarily don't have a platform, just gives an opportunity to, speak their voice, share their backgrounds, experiences. But also, too, we can, collaborate. This is a young man who has worked with me with the organization called the 3-Star Foundation, which you see the shirt here. I'm sure you'll get into a little bit later, but thank you for tuning in again. We're gonna hop right to it. So CJ, why don't you greet the people and then share about your upbringing, childhood, and so forth.
All right. I'm from Harrisburg City, inner city. Grew up in some rough neighborhoods, seeing lots of domestic violence and friends that went down the wrong direction. Either made tough decisions or ended up in prison or dead. It's just been a blessing that I was able to not only get out of that childhood and become the man I am now, but having, the family support, mother always being there when I needed her to be, just kind of helped me out big time. As far as my upbringing, I grew up in a home with pretty much my mother. My father was around maybe a little, not always, but he did have a minor part in my life. But most times, my mother was my backbone and my help and my support. There was times when she had to basically do everything, and like they say, I know it's a statistic, but it's most times true that minority men grow up in homes with a single parent, and I'm part of that statistic. Not happy about it, but it's just the way life is when you're growing up in the city. Like I said, growing up, I had many friends and had a close friend that I grew up with, and probably about 4 or 5 years ago was in a situation where he was, fatally shot, and that kind of, changed me a lot, seeing life a lot differently. As I speak about it, every time I speak about it, it's emotional, because this kid was like someone that looked up to me, and I was like a, mentor to him. And to see him kind of, leave life behind at the age of 16 was, a tough situation. So that's why I say, be aware of your surroundings and be aware of who you hang with.
Yeah. Appreciate you, sharing. I know you've shared it with me before, obviously off camera, times we've talked, so I definitely appreciate you sharing that. So, CJ, so the one thing I want to say, I want to take a moment to do this. Shout out to all the moms out there. I had a young man on the podcast last week, Ron Hunter, and he talked about his upbringing, father wasn't in his life, but I found that, and like you said, the statistic, I found that to be the case in a lot of inner city scenarios. So shout out to all the mothers who have held it down in the absence of the fathers. Definitely appreciate you. It's a lot. Some of you have 2 and 3 and 4 kids, living in the inner city, working 2 jobs. I know because I work with a lot of inner city youth, and so I know the situation scenario. So just want to give a special shout out to all the moms out there. Definitely appreciate you. We salute you today. So, all right, CJ, at this point, just to get started, let's start off by sharing. You can share with the viewers, about our relationship and just about our connection and what my mentorship has meant to you, the past couple of years.
This guy has been a huge leader to me since I've met him. He has showed me the ropes on not only to how to adapt to life situations, but also teaching me how to be a good young man to the community. Our relationship has been going strong now for about 4 or 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah.
And I can't ask nothing more out of this guy. He's there when I need to talk to him. He's always been a big support. I've always been there for him when he needed things done or help with 3-star stuff or anything like that. So our relationship has been very strong, and I can say that he's a valuable person in my life, as far as like I said, the community stuff as well as spiritually. We have a huge connection when it comes to the spiritual stuff and pouring it into the young men that we come across, or even people my age.
Yeah.
That I speak to, and they see a different type of 26-year-old than you would expect.
Right.
Most people think I'm in my 30s.
Yeah, right.
So it's just by learning from guys like him makes you feel older than what you are, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So.
And I definitely appreciate you, man. It helps when you have a individual like yourself, a mentee who's open and willing to learn, and you've always been that since day one, willing to listen and learn and being open to correction, but at the same time, I'll encourage you and say what you did well too, that. So definitely appreciate our connection. So CJ has been a solid staff member, committed. He's actually one of the coaches in our 3-Star Foundation program, and the guy's a stand-up guy. Whenever you need something, he's always there. The young men in our program really look up to him and gravitate to him. So definitely appreciate you. And one of the things I do a lot of times is, because I've worked with so many different young men, a lot of times they'll reach out to me as a reference for a particular job opportunity upcoming. I've done that so many times over the past probably 10 years. And I'll be honest, sometimes I'm hesitant about writing letters of reference because of the character of the young man, or it's also putting my reputation out there. So there are times I don't, most of the times I do. But CJ reached out to me and he asked me to do a reference letter for him, and I was gladly, I was honored that he asked me, but I definitely had a lot to share about his character and who he is as a person. I definitely appreciate you. So CJ, one of your keys is you've had some solid mentors in your life. I know over the past 8 to 10 years, there's different myself. I know there's other young men I know too who I've collaborated with, who have been an integral part in you becoming who you are today. So expound on what the mentors have meant to you, and we're all in it together, in different ways, but what has that meant to you and your development as a young black male?
Like you said, I've had many mentors, but there's 2 or 3 that I can particularly point out and say they had an integral part in my life, and that's Chris Franklin and Darnell Weathersby. Like I said, Mr. Weathersby was my go-to man when I was a freshman. I was going through a lot of stuff, especially losing a close teacher that I had a great relationship with. Her name was Gerald.
Yes, yep, I remember that.
She also had an intricate part in my life. And Mr. Weathersby kind of, when I was going through emotions and it's hard for me to, adapt in school and, understand and think, he kind of pulled me to the side and said, listen, if nothing else, do it for her or do it for me. You'll get through this. I know it's tough times and, having a heavy heart is hard for you to think and process things. And Mr. Weathersby had an intricate part in my life, and he still is having an intricate part in my life. And I've known him for 6 years, maybe 6, 7 years. And if he's watching, I thank you for that. And I just appreciate having those solid figures in my life to teach me how to be a young man and teaching me the ropes of life and giving back.
Yeah. So I want to say this, and we're going to wrap up here soon. And this kind of leads me to the crux of what we do and why I do this and who I am. Mentorship is so important, and I'm sure there are people in your life, the viewers, those who are watching. I talk about it all the time, you being there for other people and being a mentor in other people's lives. But I'm sure there are people that you look up to that have been that staple in your life. So I want to encourage you today, those who have played an integral part in your life, whether it's a mom, dad, your parents could be mentors as well, whether it's a teacher, a program director, your neighbor. I want to challenge you or encourage you today to reach out to them, to let them know how much you appreciate them. A lot of times, we just go throughout life and, we kind of take things for granted, but it means a lot for them to hear, thank you for taking the time to spend with me, and you were there for me in a crucial time of my life. I really appreciate the advice you gave me. So I just want to encourage you to do that. Just take a moment. You can write a letter, send an email, give a call, but just acknowledge those people who was that staple in your life, So, all right. So, CJ, definitely appreciate you coming on, man. I'm excited about the future. I believe there's a lot more ahead of us than what's behind us. We have a few years together in the game, linking up, working together in regards to young people. But I believe there's so much more in front of us. And, I definitely appreciate your attitude, your heart, determination. And so thank you for tuning in. You guys have been great. Feel free to comment, share. Let us know what you think about podcasts. Invite friends on. And you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Perfect.